Welcome into another week of the Black and Gold Report. We've got a lot to cover on this Saturday, so let's get going. Another busy week for the Braves athletics. The honors kept coming in for freshman men's cross-country runner Silas Kipkoech. Last week, he was honored as the NCAA Southeast Region Cross-Country Athlete of the Year, as voted on by the United States Track and Field and Cross-Country Coaches Association. Kipkoech became just the second student athlete in program history to be lauded with the honor and is the first to pick up the award since former All-American and Rio Olympian Pardon Nlovu grabbed the honor in both 2011 and 2012. UNCP women's soccer was in Jefferson City, Tennessee last weekend for the first round of the Division II Women's Soccer Championship. The Braves' first-round matchup with Queens was scoreless through regulation and continued on to sudden death overtime. In the closing seconds of the first 10-minute overtime period, Queens drew a foul and the officials stopped the clock for a free kick with under 5 seconds left. Thea Mallett converted on the free kick from just outside of the box to win the match for Queens and put an end to UNC Pembroke's tremendous season. The 2017 season was the third in program history in which UNC Pembroke logged at least 15 victories. The Braves finished the year 15-5-1 and went 12-2-1 after a 3-3 start. Head coach Lars Anderson gave his thoughts on the season and his seniors after the match.
It's hard to put into words. There are some players in that senior class that have been incredible on the field, but more importantly, all 6 of them have been incredible student athletes, and I look forward to following their careers beyond collegiate athletics. We have players that are going on to law school, we have players that are going on to PT school, PA school. I look forward to seeing what they accomplish in life. They're unbelievable young ladies. They have tremendous class, they have tremendous work ethic, and they represent UNC Pembroke well on the field, but they will do even greater things in the future off the field.
UNCP football was also in Jefferson City for a contest with Carson Newman to end the 2017 season. Things got going early in the game when Derek Evans rattled off a 79-yard touchdown carry on the game's first play from scrimmage. The Eagles went on to score 4 more touchdowns in the opening half for a 35-0 lead at the break. The effort wasn't quite enough for Carson Newman to make the NCAA Division II football championship, though, as the Eagles were left on the bubble during last Sunday's selections. The Braves finished the year 2-8 with a young injury-riddled team and will return 16 starters next season, including 9 on the offensive side of the ball. We'll talk with football head coach Shane Richardson later in the show about the 2017 season and the upcoming offseason for the Braves. Women's basketball got its season off to a roaring start a weekend ago. Newcomers T. Graham and Alicia Hardy combined for 26 points, including 18 in the second half, and the UNCP women's basketball team used a 10-0 run midway through the fourth quarter to grab a season-opening 72-65 win over visiting Fayetteville State. The Braves used a 7-0 run late in the first quarter to take an 8-point lead over the Broncos. Then in the second quarter, the Braves mounted another flurry, which included back-to-back Avery Locklear three-pointers to cap a 14-0 run. Fayetteville State did end the first half with a 10-1 run of its own to make it a 10-point UNCP lead after the break. Fayetteville State went on one more run in the third quarter to take a 2-point lead as the Braves went scoreless for nearly 2 minutes. It was 13 straight points for the Broncos to put them back ahead on their run. With the Braves down 1 at the start of the fourth, they took the lead right back with a fast break layup. Alicia Hardy ignited a late 10-0 Braves run with her only three-pointer of the night, and the Braves held the lead the rest of the way. The Braves went on for a quick exhibition in Wilmington Sunday. Lady Braves fell 73-64 to the Seahawks. Division I UNC Wilmington put back 20 second-chance points off 16 offensive rebounds and turned 14 UNC Pembroke turnovers into 24 points to turn back the upset-minded Braves. The Braves shot just over 41% from the floor, including a 50% clip in the first half, while UNC Wilmington hit at a 33% mark overall. There was a lone senior for UNCP volleyball to pay honor to last weekend on senior night. Casey Bell and the Braves fell in straight sets to Flagler last Friday. The loss put an end to a 3-match winning streak for the Braves. Bell logged 6 digs and 3 assists. Michaela Elliott paced the home squad with 6 kills of her own and a .300 attack percentage, while Madeline Ashwell, Tyler Fitzpatrick, and Michelle Voyer each tacked on a trio of kills. 21st ranked UNCP men's basketball was also home last weekend for a pair of games and grabbed a season-opening win over Lenoir-Rhyne in the PBC SAC Challenge and capped a perfect weekend with a Saturday victory over Catawba. Against Lenoir-Rhyne, senior Nigel Grant cashed in on his fourth career double-double, and UNC Pembroke held off a late rally by Lenoir-Rhyne to key a 62-57 victory. The Braves improved to 8-2 in season openers under head coach Ben Miller with the victory, while also pushing their home win streak out to 5 games. Grant scored 9 of his team-best 14 points in the first half and pulled down 10 boards to key a dominant 44-30 edge for the Braves in the rebounding column. James Murray Boyles chipped in 13 points of his own and 7 rebounds in his first start since late January of last season, while Brandon Watts also contributed 11 points, 3 rebounds, and a pair of assists. Corey Thomas put up a game-best 17 points for Lenoir-Rhyne, who scored 38 of their 57 points in the paint. After being all tied at the break, UNCP scored 10 of the first 12 points in the second half to grab all of the momentum. The black and gold led by as many as 12 points after Watts hit the back end of a 2-shot foul with 90 seconds left, but Lenoir-Rhyne closed out the matchup with an 11-4 run to provide the final score. Here's head coach Ben Miller after the game. For the Braves, the PBC SAC Challenge ended with a 91-67 win over Catawba. It was the 6th straight home victory for the Braves, who canned 10 three-pointers in the outing and posted a 50-31 advantage in the rebounding column. Catawba has now dropped 5 of the last 7 matchups in the series, including 3 straight setbacks in Pembroke. Nigel Grant logged his second double-double in as many games with 18 points and 11 rebounds, while sophomore Akia Pruitt notched his 9th career double-double with 11 points and 10 boards of his own. Lumberton native David Struther came off the bench to post 16 points, while fellow freshman Jamal Bryant added 14 points, 5 rebounds, and a trio of assists. James Murray Boyles added 10 points as well. The black and gold shot better than 70% from the field over a 10-minute stretch in the second half to secure the easy victory. Here's Ben Miller along with Tyrell Kirk and Jamal Bryant after the game.
Yeah, we did some good things as a team. A lot of guys stepped up. Watts, it's nice when your leading scorers struggles like he did, but you have a lot of guys that, like these 2 guys right here, that stepped up and made plays. And we got a very unselfish team and a lot of weapons. When they share the ball like that, it's fun to watch.
Wrestling wrapped up last week's busy weekend as Eric Milks in the 157-pound weight class and Brandon Sloop in the 174-pound weight class each posted unblemished runs through their respective championship brackets at the 37th Annual Pembroke Classic Sunday at Lumbee Guarantee Bank Court. In total, wrestling sent 10 to the podium, and 20 of UNCP's 26 student athletes who competed in the event won at least 1 match, with a dozen of those wrestlers posting 2 or more victories. That was a busy week for the Braves. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk to football head coach Shane Richardson about the 2017 season and the upcoming offseason right after this. Well, welcome back into the Black and Gold Report. Glad you can all be with us. And joining us in studio is the head coach of the Braves, Shane Richardson, and coach the football season. Before we get into the last game against Carson Newman, I want to ask you about kind of a special thing your team did with soccer playing in Jefferson City on Friday. You guys adjusted your travel schedule, went to go cheer on Braves soccer. And what was that experience like for the guys? And How did you make that happen as a coach? It's not the easiest thing to get everybody up to leave early on a Friday.
Sure. I think it served a couple of purposes, and the first purpose was we wanted to be there for our team and to show support for the girls that had worked so hard to get there. And I thought it was, just a neat thing because our players are the ones that kind of recommended it and wanted to bring up the idea to try to work that out. And I think they also got a little bit of something out of it too in terms of, we talked about how important it is to be unselfish and to just kind of place the focus on other people sometimes. And I think it's so easy, especially in a football season, where you can really kind of just only focus on yourself and your world and what you're doing. And so I thought that was a really neat opportunity to do that.
Has got into that contest with Carson Newman. This is not the way you wanted to start. First play touchdown for Derek Evans. A tough offense, the split veer to face. What were your thoughts about the game in general, and especially early with the defense trying to settle in?
Well, I knew that we've had faced the option before here, and I knew it was going to hit fast. And it's one of those things where you try to just kind of figure out that first series from a defensive standpoint to try to settle in a little bit. But obviously, the first play went for a touchdown, and that was disappointing to see, obviously. But I think. Going into the last game, facing something different, they were playing kind of for an opportunity, and we had to match that intensity. We had to match that motivation. Not quite sure that we did that from right out of the gate, and I think that's what we saw a little bit of. Maybe our team just wasn't moving quite as urgently and with a sense of purpose that we maybe needed to. And I think that had a little bit to do with the first half and how that went, because if you look into the second half, it was a much more productive half in terms of our offense and defense and trying to at least play with a little bit more effort and having a little bit more of a gritty attitude about it.
When you look at the 2017 season as a whole now, and a couple wins for you guys, obviously you wanted a lot more, a young team and a lot of injuries this year. How do you characterize the whole season, and what do you think are the biggest things that happened this year that you guys can build on for next season?
Well, I think, going into the season, we had talked about expectations in our program, and I don't think those ever change. And so with that being said, the record is disappointing for a lot of people, and nobody wants to only win 2 games. And the thing about that is, though, and we've talked about this throughout the season, is guys have to believe and trust and embrace our process. And I think coming out of this, we're going to be a year more mature, a year more experienced on the field, a year of hearing the coaching messages and all the things that we went through from a week-to-week basis here during a season. They're going to be that much more in tune to some of the scenarios and situations that they have to step up to. And so another year in the off season of working with guys and being able to develop them and really developing their mentality, their emotional being, and physically, obviously, but then also their spiritual being in terms of what we really believe in and what we hang our hat on, and how we go forward with the dynamics that we hold on to in the spirit of the brave of our philosophy. So I think all those things, for the next, whatever it is, 8-9 months before we step on the field next August again, are going to be very valuable and important in our process.
Let's talk about the 2017 senior class. And obviously, JoJo finished the game, I think the last catch before you guys got the field goals, time expired, the last catch of his brave career. But what do all of those seniors mean to you and mean to this program and the mark that they've left at Pembroke?
Yeah, I really appreciate them, and I appreciate just their efforts and their perseverance of going through a season like we did. And I know that as a senior, you don't want to ever finish your last year with a losing record or anything like that. And one of my messages after the game was our philosophy and what we teach here in our program is not only valuable for on-the-field success, but it's valuable for success in life. And I told them that this can be a great motivating factor for them in terms of, we try to be champions on the field. We try to be premier and the best we can be. And, let this motivate you to go and be a champion in other areas of life and to make sure that your job and your career and your families and your relationships and the things that you engage yourself in, that you can be the very best in that and to have winning seasons and to try to work your best in those areas. And so I think that was something that, I wanted the seniors to know as they leave here, that doesn't mean that you have to hang your head down and, go forward with thinking that you're not a winner and not understanding how to be a winner. And so they can be winners in life after they leave here.
All right. Well, we appreciate you talking with us about the 2017 season. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the offseason upcoming, what the Braves can expect moving into 2018. That's right after this here on the Black and Gold Report. We're back here on the Black and Gold Report. Football head coach Shane Richardson with us. And Coach, let's talk about the offseason upcoming. You have 16 starters coming back on this team, 9 on the offensive side of the ball. How excited do you get as a coach now, knowing that you were a really young team and you have a whole nother offseason to build on before 2018?
Well, very excited. And, there's a lot of work that has to go into this thing here before we get to the season. And, I think part of the grind and part of just the development process, you learn to kind of enjoy that and to really dive into that and not look too far ahead. And so we're going to just take one day at a time. We're going to have a great plan going into January in the second semester. And we got to make sure that guys do what they're supposed to do in terms of academics and making good choices to be able to put themselves in a position of success here coming up in August. And so we're going to train a lot of things, and we're going to make sure that we evaluate all the lessons from this season to be able to put those in place in the off season so that we can really learn practically from them and know how to implement them better for next year.
With it, what does it look like for both you as a coach and your coaching staff and for the players in terms of their next couple of weeks heading into the holiday season, and how does that schedule progress into spring?
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll do an end of the season evaluation on all of our players and go through all of our personnel and make sure that as a coaching staff we're on the same page with what we saw this season and what worked, what didn't work, what do we got to get better at, all those types of things. And then we'll have a recruiting plan. And really starting next week, our coaches will start to hit the road recruiting and start to get ahead of the game here as we get ready for December in-person home visits and trying to get recruits to nail down some official visit dates as to when they can get on campus. And so it'll go by fairly quick, and December is a really big month of recruiting for us, and then January we'll be bringing kids on campus, and I'll be going out and visiting with them and really trying to nail that down for the first week in February where we'll have the signing day.
And looking at your guys' team, starting with the offense first, where we have the most expected starters coming back, what is it about this last season that you're most excited to build upon, that you think the guys have been doing really well, that they can take it to the next level during this offseason?
Well, I think their attitude and their willingness of wanting to come to work every day I thought was really spectacular. And going through a season like this, there can be a lot of discouragement that could set in, a lot of negativity that could set in. And what I really appreciated and what's really exciting about this team moving forward is that there's a willingness to just show up, and they were able to still go out at practice with energy and wanting to be around each other and wanting to continue to strive to get better at something. And so I think if we can take that to the next level, there's an attitude and a willingness there that can allow them to do great things.
How big of a difference does it make for this offense to have all the linemen coming back, your quarterback, a bevy of guys in the backfield who were all sophomores or younger? I mean, that's got to make a big difference for this team in terms of being able to hit the ground running into the spring camp.
Absolutely. I think a whole year of college football experience out there really enables you to step up to the next level as you go into your next season. And so all those freshmen that were out there for the first time playing this year, they were able to use all of that. And there's nowhere to go but up for all of those guys. I mean, those guys, if we coach them the right way and we implement the right plans for those guys, they should do nothing but improve. And so we're looking forward to all those guys being able to take a big step here in the offseason, and that's really exciting to be able to think about that.
All right, and then your defense. You guys have a lot of young guys on defense as well. Where are you most excited to see them improve this next season? Is there a particular position group right now that you think stands out as a group that's ready to maybe make the biggest leap in this offseason?
Well, I'm not sure if there's just one in particular position group. I think a lot of what we do and talk about and believe in on defense is you want to stick to the code, and you really want to learn how to play your hardest, play your fastest, and play most together with each other. And so, I think all three groups can continue to build great chemistry amongst each other. And I think you see great success when you see that chemistry come together. And so if the three position groups can build it amongst each other within their position group and then build it as a defense, as a unit, I think you can see really, really good things. And so I think there's enough youth and enough experience at each of those 3 levels to where you're going to see those 3 position groups really take a big step, I think, here in the offseason for next year.
And when we look at the special teams, Alex Alvarado obviously finished the season with the final points for you guys as the clock expired. Perfect in field goals, a young kicker. What do you see from the special teams, the special forces, and what are they going to be able to do in this offseason?
Yeah, I think, really all the guys that were kicking for us and returning for us, what we did was put a young punter out there in Isaac Parks and for the first time in a Braves uniform and did a sufficient job. And so now I expect nothing but improvement from him. Same thing with Alex, as you mentioned. I expect nothing but improvement from him. I expect us to be more confident to put him out there for some longer field goals. And, you go to the returners also. We started to get Devin Jones in the mix back there, who can be very dynamic, and his confidence started to become a little bit more evident here towards the end of the season, and I think all of those guys should do nothing but improve. And so I expect great things out of our special forces next year. I think there was probably a lot of games that we didn't perform up to our potential in the special forces category, and so what we tell those guys is we've got to make the difference in the football game. If it's a close game, if there's hidden yardage there that we can try to win back and gain an edge, we've got to be able to try to do that. And so hopefully having this year under our belt here can take next year and make that a great motivation for us to perform better.
And a final question for you, Coach, when we look at the offseason upcoming, is there a certain word or a mantra that you want the team to kind of follow? You mentioned the word confidence and building towards the future, but if you characterize the offseason with one word coming up, what would you choose?
It's a tough question, actually, Trevor. We focus on a lot of things. It's really, I think, probably a concept of we need a hungry football team, and we need some hunger to be able to be stirred from within. And I talked to the team about that Saturday after the game. Is we need players to kind of generate that motor and the engine of the train, and I think it starts with just a hunger and a desire and a motivation to say 2-8 is not going to be good enough, and it's not something that anybody wants to experience around this program. And there's going to need to be a great determination that comes out of that hunger to be able to say, we're going to have to work for it, and we're going to have to focus on it, and we're going to have to really lock into what we need to do here to get better. And so we need a hungry football team coming back, and I think that's probably maybe the word that comes to mind. All
right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing that hungry football team in 2018. Thanks for the time, Coach.
Thanks a lot, Trevor.
That was football head coach Shane Richardson with us on the Black and Gold Report. We'll take one more time out. We'll be right back after this. Well, that's about all the time we have on this Saturday morning. Big thanks to you for joining us, and thanks to our Old Main crew. We can't wait to have you back next week for more of the Black and Gold Report. Until then, this is Trevor Williams, hoping you have a pleasant rest of your day.